You turn the key, push open the door, and the silence of the house tells you everything you need to know. There, in the center of the hallway, lies the remains of a decorative pillow, now reduced to a cloud of polyester fluff. And in the middle of that cloud sits Cooper, your beagle. His body is low to the ground, his tail is tucked so tightly it's touching his stomach, and he's giving you that heartbreaking look, the whale eye, where the whites of his eyes are visible as he averts his gaze. You point a finger and ask the question every dog owner has uttered: who did this? Cooper cowers even lower, licking his chops and yawning. You think he's definitely apologizing. He knows exactly what he did and he feels terrible about it. But what if I told you that in this exact moment, Cooper has no cognitive connection to the pillow? What if I told you that the guilt you see is actually a high-speed neurobiological survival calculation designed to de-escalate your aggression? Today, we are going to dismantle the greatest myth in the history of human-animal friendship. We will look at the 2023 left eye bias research from the University of Bari and the 2024 temporal bridge studies that prove your dog isn't feeling sorry. He's performing a biological reset of your anger. And stick around, because halfway through, I'll reveal the yawn paradox, why a dog yawning during a scolding is actually a sign of a massive cortisol spike, not boredom or defiance. The anthropomorphic trap. To understand Cooper's brain, we first have to confront the limitations of our own. Humans are a species of storytellers. When we look at a face, our brain's fusiform face area, the FFA, the neural circuit dedicated to recognizing social cues, automatically tries to map human moral structures onto animals. This is called anthropomorphism. In a landmark 2021 study from Wake Forest University, lead researcher Dr. Zachary Silver found that humans are biologically incapable of looking at a dog in distress without attributing a moral cause to the situation. When we see a tucked tail, we don't just see a physical response to stress, we see shame. But shame is a complex secondary emotion. It requires a moral self, the ability to reflect on a past action, compare it to a social contract, and experience regret. The problem is the temporal window. According to a 2023 meta-analysis published in Animal Cognition, dogs operate on a neuro-associative loop that lasts roughly 60 to 120 seconds. If the pillow was shredded at 2 p.m. and you arrived at 5 p.m., the neural bridge between the act and the consequence has already collapsed. To Cooper, you aren't a disappointed parent, you are a loved companion who is suddenly, and for no discernible reason, turned into a terrifying, loud-voiced predator. The guilty look isn't a confession of a past crime, it is a calming signal aimed at surviving the present moment. So why does the guilty look work so perfectly on us? Because dogs have spent 30,000 years evolving to hack our empathy. In a groundbreaking 2022 study published in PNAS, Dr. Ann Burroughs of Duquesne University discovered a biological smoking gun. She found that domestic dogs possess a specific facial muscle that their ancestor, the wolf, completely lacks, the levator anguli oculi medialis. This tiny muscle's only function is to raise the inner eyebrow, making the eyes appear larger and more infant-like. In the human brain, this specific movement triggers an involuntary spike in oxytocin. When Cooper uses this muscle, he isn't feeling bad. He is deploying evolutionary weaponry. Over thousands of years, humans subconsciously selected the dogs that were best at de-escalating our anger. The dogs that looked guilty were less likely to be kicked out of the cave and more likely to be fed. You aren't seeing a dog who feels bad for his actions. You are seeing the result of 3,000 generations of survival-based acting. It is Darwinism in real time. Cooper doesn't have a conscience, he has a survival strategy that exploits your nurturing instinct. The olfactory ghost. You might argue, but he looks guilty before I even say a word. He meets me at the door with his head down. This brings us to the 2023 Emory University study led by neuroscientist Dr. Gregory Burns. Using fMRI scans on awake, unrestrained dogs, his team mapped the caudate nucleus, the brain's center for anticipation. They found that dogs don't just hear your anger, they smell it before you even turn the doorknob. When you are angry or stressed, your body undergoes a micro-sweat event, releasing specific pheromones and a surge of cortisol. To a beagle with 300 million olfactory receptors, your anger is a physical cloud. Cooper isn't acting guilty because he remembers the trash bag he shredded 3 hours ago. He is acting submissive because his olfactory bulb has sent an emergency signal to his nervous system. The human is producing the anger scent, activate de-escalation protocol alpha. He is reacting to your current chemical state, not his past behavior. He is a master of reading your physiology, while you are a novice at reading his. The yawn paradox and the left eye bias. This leads us to a gesture that 99% of owners misunderstand: the yawn. When you're scolding Cooper and he yawns, you think he's being disrespectful or bored. In reality, this is a displacement behavior. In 2023 research from the University of Lincoln, scientists found that dogs who yawn during discipline sessions show a 40% higher heart rate than dogs who simply cower. A yawn is a sign that the dog's internal stress, their static load, has reached a neurological breaking point. Furthermore, we must look at the left gaze bias. Studies from the University of Bari show that when dogs view a human face in a state of high emotion, they focus predominantly on the left side of our face. Why? Because the right hemisphere of the human brain, which controls the left side of our facial muscles, is where we express our most honest, involuntary micro-emotions. Cooper is scanning the left side of your face like a biometric sensor, looking for any sign that the predator is returning to being a friend. If you keep yelling while he yawns and scans, you aren't teaching him a lesson, you are pushing him toward a total neurological shutdown.
So, how do we fix this? If guilt isn't a real thing in the canine mind, how do we stop the destructive behavior? We must move from being a judge to being a neutral navigator. First, apply the 30-second rule. If you did not catch the dog in the act of shredding the pillow, ignore the mess. Cleaning it up while the dog is in the room only reinforces a cycle of fear. Second, provide redirected sensory input. Research in Animal Cognition 2024 shows that for scent hounds like beagles, chewing is a biological requirement, not a choice. When they're bored, their brain enters a dopamine deficit. Your leather shoes, soaked in your scent, are a dopamine goldmine. Instead of punishment, focus on grounding the connection. Use a soft blink, a universal canine sign of peace, to lower the tension in the room. By understanding the guilt illusion, you stop creating an environment of intermittent unpredictability, which is the leading cause of anxiety-based aggression in dogs. Final revelation. Understanding that Cooper isn't guilty doesn't make him less of a companion, it makes him more of a marvel. He is a creature that has spent 30 millennia learning to read the chemical signals of our skin and the micro-vibrations of our eyebrows just to stay by our side. He doesn't need to feel sorry to love you. In fact, his inability to feel shame is what makes his affection so pure. He lives entirely in the now. And speaking of the now, if you've ever wondered why your dog suddenly stops playing and stares intensely at a blank spot on the wall behind you in the middle of the night, it isn't a ghost. It is actually a sensory glitch in their ultraviolet vision that allows them to see high-frequency patterns we literally cannot imagine.